when Christophe, an ordinary farmer from Provence, unexpectedly bought a huge bull destined for brutal arena fights at an auction, no one could understand the reason for his action. His family and neighbors thought it was madness and predicted an inevitable tragedy. However, what happened a year later between this impulsively acquired bull and its new owner surprised everyone. It all began on one of those scorching summer days so characteristic of Provence. Christophe, a generational farmer from a small village near Arles, found himself at a local cattle auction. He hadn't planned to buy anything, just wanted to spend time with friends and possibly discuss the latest agricultural news. However, fate had other plans. Passing by the pens with bulls destined for bullfighting, Christophe suddenly stopped in his tracks. His gaze met the eyes of a huge black bull standing in the corner of the enclosure. There was something in those eyes that made the farmer's heart clench. Fear, despair, an understanding of its fate? Christophe couldn't say for sure, but at that moment he felt an irresistible desire to save this majestic animal from a cruel fate. Without thinking about the consequences, Christophe raised his hand and placed a bid. Then another, and another. Those around him looked on in bewilderment. Why would an ordinary farmer need such a huge and potentially dangerous bull? But Christophe paid no attention to the surprised glances. He was completely focused on his goal. When the auction ended, Christophe found himself the owner of the bull, having given almost all his savings for it. Only then, standing next to his new acquisition, did he begin to realize the scale of his action. The bull was enormous. Its weight clearly exceeded a ton, and its horns were sharper than any knife. How was he going to manage this giant? What would his family say? And most importantly, had he made a terrible mistake? Despite his doubts, Christophe decided not to back down. He named the bull Fadien, which in the Provençal dialect means faithful, and transported him to his farm. The first days were filled with fear and uncertainty. Christophe was afraid to even approach the enclosure where he had housed Fadien. He fed him from afar, constantly on alert. Christophe's family was shocked by his action. His wife, Marie-Claire, couldn't understand why her husband was risking his life for some bull. The children, 12-year-old Luc and 9-year-old Sophie, were simultaneously frightened and intrigued by the new inhabitant of the farm. Neighbors whispered behind his back, calling Christophe crazy. But time passed, and gradually fear began to give way to curiosity. Christophe noticed that Fadien, contrary to expectations, showed no aggression. On the contrary, the bull seemed calm and even a bit sad. He would stand for hours by the fence observing life on the farm and seemed to watch people with interest. Gathering courage, Christophe began to spend more time near Fadien. He talked to him, telling him about his life, about the farm, about his dreams and fears. The bull listened attentively, turning his head to follow the farmer's movements. Gradually, a connection began to form between them, intangible but palpable. Months passed. Fadien became an integral part of farm life. The children stopped fearing him and often brought him apples and carrots. Marie-Claire, though still cautious around the bull, admitted that he was nothing like the aggressive animal she had expected to see. And then, a year after Fadien's arrival at the farm, something happened that forever changed the relationship between man and animal. That day, Christophe was cleaning the enclosure as usual. He had become so accustomed to Fadien's presence that he allowed himself to relax and turn his back to the bull. Suddenly, he felt the approach of the huge body. Christophe's heart stopped. Would his fears come true? But instead of an attack, he felt Fadien's heavy head rest on his shoulder. The bull simply wanted to hug, to express his affection and gratitude. This moment became a turning point in their relationship. Christophe realized that Fadien wasn't just a bull, he was a friend, capable of deep feelings and attachment. From that day on, life on the farm changed. Fadien became the family's favorite. He responded to his name, allowed the children to ride on his back, under Christophe's vigilant supervision, of course, and even seemed to try to help with work by nudging hay bales with his nose. News of the unusual friendship between man and bull quickly spread throughout the region. People came from far and wide to see Fadien and Christophe. Many couldn't believe their eyes watching the huge bull gently embracing a human. Even veterinarians and animal psychologists became interested in Fadien's phenomenon. Conducting research and observations, they concluded that bulls, like many other animals, are capable of deep attachment and gratitude, especially when treated with kindness and understanding. Years went by, and the friendship between Christophe and Fadian only grew stronger. The bull became a true member of the family, participating in all holidays and events. He even learned to pose for photographs, as if understanding how important it was to capture moments of their unusual friendship. Christophe often says that he saved Fadian from a cruel fate, but in reality, Fadian also saved Christophe from prejudices, from fear, from a limited view of the world. Their story is not just a tale of friendship between man and animal. It's a story about how one impulsive act of kindness can change lives and open hearts. Today, looking at Fadian peacefully grazing in the green meadows of the farm, it's hard to believe that he was once prepared for brutal fights in the arena. His story has become a source of inspiration for many, reminding us that there's always room for miracles in the world, especially when we open our hearts to unexpected friendship and unconditional love.